Ladies and gentlemen, there is a path to a life where nothing and no one afflicts you anymore. A path where peace reigns in the heart, and no word or action can shake your spirit. Many are troubled, not by the weight of the world itself, but by the burdens they choose to carry in their heart. They are wounded by words, shaken by rejection, and distressed by the actions of others. But the truth is this: no one has the power to disturb your peace unless you give it to them. When one masters their heart and mind, nothing and no one can afflict them anymore. They walk with peace, they love without fear, and they stand unshaken no matter what comes against them. The storms of life will still come, but they will pass like the wind, leaving no damage behind. This is the way of wisdom, and this is the path to true freedom. True strength in relationships does not come from controlling others or demanding their love, loyalty, or respect. It comes from mastering one's own heart and mind. Many people find themselves in turmoil not because of what others have done, but because they have allowed external words and actions to dictate their emotions. When the mind is anchored in love, wisdom, and peace, external disturbances lose their power to shake the soul. Consider a tree planted by the waters, its roots deep in the soil. When storms come, the branches may sway, but the tree stands firm because it draws strength from within. In the same way, a person whose peace comes from within is not easily disturbed by the winds of conflict, rejection, or misunderstanding. But when one relies on others to provide peace, they become like a leaf tossed by every breeze, unstable and vulnerable to every disappointment. A common struggle in relationships is the desire to be understood and appreciated. Many feel afflicted when their kindness is not returned, their love is not acknowledged, or their words are taken the wrong way. But should one's inner peace depend on the response of another? If love is given freely, it expects nothing in return, for true love is not self-seeking. It does not give in order to receive, nor does it withhold itself out of. A person who loves with wisdom understands that their peace is not dependent on whether they are valued by others, but on the purity of their own heart. There is a power in silence and self-control that many do not recognize. When one is insulted, they feel the need to defend themselves. When they are mistreated, they want to react. But a heart anchored in wisdom does not need to fight every battle. It understands that not every harsh word must be answered, not every rejection must be mourned, and not every misunderstanding must be corrected. A person who controls their response controls their peace. They do not allow the emotions of others to dictate their own. Many allow their hearts to be troubled by things that do not belong to them. They carry burdens that are not theirs to bear, opinions, criticism, judgments from people who do not know their true heart. But what power do these things have unless one grants them authority? If a stranger speaks against you, does it change your worth? If someone you love misunderstands you, does it diminish your value? The wise do not allow their peace to be taken by things outside their control. They do not hold on to words that were never theirs to carry. There is a freedom in understanding that peace is not found in controlling others, but in governing oneself. No one can truly take away the peace of a heart that refused to be troubled. The world may bring conflict, relationships may bring challenges, and people may bring disappointment. But none of these have the power to control the mind unless permission is given. A person who remains steadfast, who forgives quickly, and who refuses to let anger take root will walk through life with an unshaken spirit. Just as a lamp does not fear the darkness because it carries its own light, a heart filled with peace does not fear conflict because it carries its own strength. True mastery in relationships is not found in changing others, but in changing oneself. It is found in choosing peace over offense, patience over anger, and understanding over fear. When the mind is trained in this way, nothing and no one can disturb its stillness, and a relationship built on such wisdom will not be easily broken. A heart that is easily wounded by words or actions is like a city without walls, open to every attack, vulnerable to every passing enemy. When a person allows offense to take root, they give power to others to dictate their emotions, their peace, and even their actions. But a wise heart understands that guarding against offense is not about ignoring wrongs or pretending that pain does not exist. It is about choosing not to let those wrongs take control. Many relationships suffer not because of great betrayals or intentional harm, but because of small offenses that are held onto and allowed to grow into resentment. A harsh word spoken in haste, a forgotten kindness, an unmet expectation, these things, when nurtured in the heart, become barriers between two people. But when one chooses to let go quickly, to forgive, not only their peace, but the relationship itself. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is strength. It is a decision to refuse to be ruled by another's actions. A person who forgives easily is not saying that wrongs do not matter. They are saying that those wrongs do not have the power to steal their joy. Holding on to offense is like holding on to a burning coal. It does not harm the one who threw it, only the one who refuses to let it go. Many believe that they must correct every misunderstanding, answer every insult, and demand justice for every slight. Reason teaches otherwise. If a person seeks to prove their worth to everyone who doubts them, they will spend their life exhausted, chasing after approval that was never theirs to seek. If they take every criticism to heart, they will live in constant turmoil. But if they guard their heart and refuse to be easily offended, they walk in freedom. A secure heart does not take every action personally. Not every unkind word is a true reflection of reality, and not every cold response is a rejection. People act out of their own pain, their own struggles, and their own fears. Many who hurt others do so because they themselves are wounded. If one learns to see beyond the offense to the heart of the offender, they will respond with understanding instead of anger. They will see not an enemy, but a person in need of grace. Letting go of offense does not mean allowing oneself to be mistreated. There is wisdom in setting boundaries and in walking away from relationships that are harmful. But even in those moments, peace must be the guide. One who leaves with bitterness remains bound to the pain, but one who departs with a heart free of resentment walks away in true freedom. There is no lasting relationship without the ability to move past offenses. Those who keep a record of wrongs will find themselves trapped in a cycle of... But those who choose to overlook small offenses, who choose to believe the best even when others fail, will build relationships that can withstand trials. Guarding the heart against offense is not about hardening it. It is about keeping it pure. It is about ensuring that love remains stronger than pride, that peace is valued more than being right, and that forgiveness is chosen over bitterness. A person who refuses to be easily offended walks in a strength that no one can take from them. They are like a well-watered garden, untouched by drought, bearing fruit even in the midst of struggle. The greatest freedom in relationships is found not in controlling others, but in controlling one's own heart. When one learns to quickly forgive, to let go of offenses, and to choose love over resentment, they walk in peace that no insult, no misunderstanding, and no rejection can take away. This is the path of wisdom, and this is the way to a love that endures. Many people suffer in relationships because they seek validation from others rather than standing firm in their own worth. They measure their value based on how they are treated, on the words spoken to them, and on the approval they receive. But when one's worth is dependent on the shifting opinions of others, they become vulnerable to rejection, disappointment, and emotional pain. True peace in relationships comes when one no longer seeks validation from others, but stands confidently in their own identity. Rejection is a fear that grips many hearts. It creates anxiety in relationships, causing people to act out of desperation rather than love. They change who they are to be accepted. They silence their true thoughts to avoid conflict. And they tolerate mistreatment to prevent being abandoned. But no one who lives in fear of rejection can experience true freedom in love. Love is not about seeking approval. It is about giving freely without fear. When someone's love is conditional, or when it depends on how they are treated in return, it is not love but a transaction. Love given in wisdom does not beg for acceptance. It stands firm in its own strength. Many have experienced the pain of being overlooked, abandoned, or treated as if they were not enough. In those moments, it is easy to believe the lie that rejection defines one's worth. But rejection is not a measure of value. A diamond thrown into the dirt does not lose its worth. It remains precious even if others fail to see it. In the same way, a person's worth is not determined by how they are treated, but by the truth of who they are. Those who understand this cannot be shaken by rejection, for they know that their value does not decrease when someone fails to recognize it. Fear of rejection often causes people to remain in unhealthy relationships. They tolerate disrespect, cling to those who have already let go, and chase after those who do not cherish them. But true security does not come from forcing relationships to remain. It comes from knowing that even if one relationship ends, one's value remains unchanged. When a person places their worth in the hands of another, they give them power over their emotions, their self-esteem, and their peace. But when one understands that their worth is unshakable, they no longer live in fear of losing someone's. Rejection is not always a curse. Sometimes it is a blessing in disguise. Some doors must close so that better ones can open. Some people must leave so that one may grow into who they were meant to be. When one understands this, they do not see rejection as a failure, but as redirection. They do not mourn what has left, but trust that something greater is ahead. When one places their trust in love rather than in fear, they are no longer desperate for people to stay, for they know that the right relationships will never require them to. There is great freedom in walking into relationships with confidence rather than fear. A person who does not fear rejection is not controlled by it. They love boldly, they speak honestly, and they remain true to themselves. They do not manipulate or force relationships. They simply give love freely and let go when necessary. In doing so, they experience the joy of relationships built on authenticity rather than desperation. No one can truly afflict a heart that stands firm in its own worth. When one no longer seeks validation from others, they are free from the chains of rejection. They love without fear, they forgive without bitterness, and they walk away from those who do not value them without losing their peace. This is the path to true freedom in relationships, a path where nothing and no one has the power to steal one's joy. The human heart often clings to past pain, dwelling on wounds inflicted by others, replaying words spoken in anger, and reliving moments of rejection. Many carry these burdens like heavy chains, allowing them to shape their thoughts, actions, and relationships. But those who refuse to let go of past hurts remain trapped in a cycle of suffering. True freedom is found in releasing what no longer serves the soul. Letting go is not about pretending pain never happened. It is about choosing not to let it control the future. Many relationships suffer not because of present conflicts, but because of unresolved wounds from the past. A person who was betrayed once may struggle to trust again. One who was rejected may fear abandonment even when surrounded by love. Those who have been hurt may build walls around their hearts, believing they are protecting themselves. Yet in doing so, they also block out the possibility of true connection. Healing cannot come to a heart that refuses to let go. The past has power only when it is held onto, but when released, it loses its grip and becomes merely a lesson rather than a burden. Forgiveness is the key to letting go, yet many resist it when wrongs done against them. But forgiveness is not for the one who caused the pain. It is for the one who carries it. A person who refuses to forgive remains tied to the one who hurt them, allowing them to continue to have power over their emotions and peace. But when one chooses to forgive, they break the chain, removing the weight that has held them captive. They no longer live in anger or resentment, but in the lightness of a heart unburdened. Letting go also means surrendering the need for closure. Many seek explanations, apologies, or justice before they feel ready to move on. But waiting for someone else to bring peace is to remain bound to them. Some wounds will never be acknowledged, some apologies will never come, and some wrongs will never be made right. But peace is not found in receiving what was lost. It is found in releasing the expectation that it must be returned. When one stops waiting for others to fix what was broken, they take back control of their own healing. The mind is a powerful force, capable of keeping one trapped in suffering or setting them free. Those who dwell on past offenses, replaying them over and over, give them continued power. But those who choose to shift their focus toward growth, toward what lies ahead, and toward the blessings still present in their lives, step into true freedom. The past is unchangeable, but the present and future remain within one's control. What is dwelled upon will grow, and what is released will fade. The wise do not feed their pain, but nourish their healing. Letting go is not a one-time decision, but a daily practice. When old wounds resurface, when past offenses return to mind, one must choose again to release them. It is not weakness to feel pain, but it is wisdom to refuse to let it define the present. A person who masters the art of letting go walks in peace that cannot be taken away. They do not allow past relationships to dictate how they love today. They do not carry old bitterness into new beginnings. They walk lightly, unburdened, free from the weight of things that no longer serve them. No one can afflict a heart that refuses to hold on to pain. The one who lets go of resentment is free. The one who releases the past is unshakable. The one who forgives, even without apology, walks in a strength that no one can take away. This is the path to true peace in relationship, the path where nothing and no one has the power to steal joy, because the heart has chosen to let go. The heart that is unshaken by offense, rejection, or past pain is a heart that walks in true freedom. When one learns to guard their peace, stand firm in their worth, and let go of what no longer serves them, they rise above the affliction that once held them captive. No longer do they seek validation from others, nor do they allow wounds of the past to dictate their future. Instead, they walk in the confidence that their value is unshakable, their joy is untouchable, and their love is given freely, not out of fear, but out of strength. The world will always bring trials, misunderstandings, and disappointments. But the wise do not allow these things to steal their peace. They do not beg for love, nor do they chase after those who do not cherish them. They understand rejection is not a measure of their worth, but a redirection towards something greater. They do not hold on to bitterness, for they know that forgiveness is the key to a light and true freedom in relationships comes not from controlling others, but from mastering oneself. When one chooses to rise above offense, to let go of resentment, and to love without fear, they walk in a peace that no one can take away. Nothing and no one can afflict the one who has chosen to be free.